Murderers are all everywhere, but have you come across the ones who do not back off, even if they have to murder their own child? Sounds crazy, doesn't it? This video is going to be about a list of 5 baby killers who got punched by vengeful parents. Get ready, and make your mind to hear a list of unsettling stories about baby killers all over the world. Whitesburg, Kentucky, a small friendly town renowned for its amiable society and idyllic locale. As serene as it sounds, stained by murderer Jerome Boggs. This new case has shook the locals' minds for quite a while. Jerome was on his way to Timothy Cook's to deal some street drugs. Little did Timothy know that he was not there to deal just drugs, but do something even more confrontational. Right after they wrap their deal up, Jerome pulls out his gun and shoots Timothy and his 4-year-old son TJ dead. He was then brought to the court for his crime, and it turns out he was not alone in this gruesome offense. He was allied with his wife. It was brought to notice that Jerome and his wife lodged at Super 8 Motel right after the murder. This appalling crime has deeply disturbed everyone, including the judge. The judge openly stated in the courtroom how much he resents him and asserted that he deserves a death penalty. Jerome was charged with not 1 or 2 felonies, but with an extensive list that includes murder, robbery, burglary, and drug trafficking. His wife, aka his co-conspirator, was also charged. Jerome was sentenced to serve 2 successive life terms and an additional 70 years for his crime, although his wife was shortly released after a decade of good behavior. In the courtroom was when Jerome realized that he procured the wrath with the wrong family. He was viciously assaulted by 3 of Cook's family members. Sometimes the closest to you can be the ones to bring you down. This is a case where Deshaun Brown allegedly killed his girlfriend Nitisha Lattimore and her 3-year-old son Nilo. This grotesque incident took place in Hamilton, Cincinnati. How did they find their remnants? Did he have a plan to erase this nerve-wracking crime of murdering a child and evade from the police ultimately? A security guard came across a body wrapped in a bag and rang 911 right away.
Deshaun Brown is a monster.
It's been nearly 3 months since Roderick Lattimore saw his daughter, Nitisha Lattimore, and her 3-year-old son, Nilo, alive.
Friends, family, the Lattimore family is a large family, and the Hunter family. We all loved her.
Deshaun Brown has been indicted for both their murders in December. Dieter shared details of a body bag he says Brown bought on eBay for Nitisha and little Nilo thrown into the river while still alive.
He chose to kill Nilo in an incredibly barbaric method. And I still have nightmares about this.
Dieter says Brown faces the death penalty. He says he planned to kill months in advance, left Nitisha's body in her apartment 5 days, and took an Uber to the river, claiming the body bag was clothes. Detail is more devastating.
My daughter should be living right now. My grandson should be alive right now.
Now he prays and fights for justice.
Her and Nilo, they're in heaven, you know, and this scumbag deserves to be in hell. He needs to burn in hell.
Now, Lattimore says he didn't talk to Nitisha every day, and he wished he'd known that there was something going on so he could go and try to rescue them. He says that now they all have to plan for another funeral, and it's a very difficult time for the family, so he is just asking for prayers. Reporting live.
Words can't express how I feel about this monster who's trying to ask for a lower bond. I mean, he's got a lot of nerve trying to ask for a lower bond.
Roderick Lattimore, a father, a grandfather, unapologetic in his call for justice.
Deshaun Brown deserves nothing less than the death penalty. That's exactly what you deserve.
This man, Deshaun Brown, who is in jail charged with the murder of Lattimore's daughter, Nitisha, and his grandson, Nilo. Police say Brown stabbed Lattimore's daughter to death and threw the 3-year-old boy in the Ohio River, alive. His remains have not been found. Brown is asking that his bond be reduced.
Ever since that happened.
Turns out it was Nitisha. She was found stabbed to death, and Nilo's body was never found. He did not stab Nilo, but tipped him into the river. The evidence of the stroller was found alongside Nitisha's body. We can see the statement let out by the Hamilton County prosecutor. Not only did Dejan commit an awful crime, but he also did come up with a plan. He had the body chauffeured around in the Uber, fabricating the truth, saying the bag was full of clothes. During the trial for his death penalty, Antoine Heeg, the biological father of Nilo, showed up, with all his fuming anger concealed within himself. He then took his chance to lash his anger out by threw several forceful punches at him, as you all can see. The act of murder is a criminal offense, But here's a case of Larry Nassar, an athletic trainer and a US gymnastic doctor, who overstepped the boundaries. He was not any ordinary doctor, but a ferocious sex offender. He was accused of sexually assaulting his trainers. He assaults women trainers and athletes. Initially started with Rachel Dennerlander, an American lawyer and an ex-gymnast. They were not just a few. The petitions were an ongoing list totaling a massive amount of 265 legal allegations. Dr. Nassar not only assaulted women, but also children. The Margrave sisters, Morgan, Madison, and Lauren, brought forth their accusations for inappropriately touching them without the gloves on. He received 10 to 175 years in Michigan State Prison and 60 in federal prison. The father requested the judge to provide him with all but just 5 minutes with the womanizer in a locked room. You can see how fuming the father sounds. Although it was against the rules of the court and was hence denied by the judge, the vengeful father could not stop himself and attacked him brutally, showing no mercy. We are unraveling the malicious facet of humans globally. Might as well look into the issue of child abusers from Detroit. That punch answers all the speculations. Jasmine Gordon and Clifford Thomas, murderers of their own child, Jamila, a toddler. Every toddler's life is either toys or crawling around for fun, which was not the case with Jamila. She was rushed to the hospital as soon as possible. This was not the conventional reason why a toddler would go to a hospital. This was something intensely treacherous. Bleeding, torn pancreas, pneumonia, and abrasions. Sounds familiar? Yes, they all pair up with persistent abuse. Little Jamila couldn't make it after all this. Jasmine and Clifford were produced in the court for trial regarding the case. It is evident how even the judge deeply expresses her sorrow. Jasmine was sentenced 14 to 25 years imprisonment for child abuse, while Clifford was sentenced 15 years unlawful homicide. Additionally, Jamila's biological father, Darwin Smith, sought vengeance, punched right on his head, fair and square. Who knew one should safeguard their baby from one's own father? This is a case about an 11-week baby boy who lost his life to no one but his own biological father, Quinn Bowes. The baby has allegedly died of head trauma. The reports showed the same. Although Quinn Bowes gave out false excuses and mentioned that baby Parker fell out of his crib and hit his head, this case was subjected to further investigation, only for the police to find out the reasons given by Quinn Bowes were all false allegations. For a matter of fact, Quinn Bowes committed homicide against his own son, and the real reason for his death was concussive trauma. I suppose you can imagine how it would have been. Quinn received 20 years prison time and an additional 5 years probation. When Quinn was being escorted, Parker's uncle surprised Quinn with a punch on his face. Although this breaches the court rules, Parker's uncle Jeremiah Hartley was sentenced to 100 years of probation. Do you think Jeremiah Hartley deserved that? What are your thoughts on this? Baby killers show no remorse, and what do you think the reason could be? Comment your views below. And if you found all these stories unsettling and it shook your mind, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for more spine-chilling stories.